Welcome to today's webinar, Behind the Screens, a live look at FleetFocus FMIS, presented by AssetWorks. I'm Manuela Colas for Government Fleet, and I'll be your moderator for today's event. I encourage you to ask questions during the webinar at any point, and we will try to address them all. However, if we do not get to yours, don't worry, you will be contacted by email with the response after the event. I am joined today by our speaker, Danny Brashear, Senior Industry Consultant at AssetWorks. Thank you so much for being here, Danny. Tell us a little bit about yourself and what we'll be discussing today.
All right, thank you. And appreciate the opportunity to share our software with you today. Just wanted to take a few minutes to introduce myself, Danny Brashear with AssetWorks. I joined AssetWorks back in 2022, back in July. Just want to go through some of the different things that I've done throughout my history. I started off working for a Lee County government down in South Florida as a mechanic, as a wrench, actually turning wrenches. I spent 18 years working for Lee County government, worked my way up as a fleet operations manager after leaving there after 18 years, moved to Tennessee and went to work for another software company. I have worked for several different software companies in my past. I spent 12 years with one company doing the same as what I'm doing here, senior fleet consultant work. I worked for a fuel management company as well for about a year and a half, and also Mercury & Associates for a couple of years doing consultant work too with Mercury & Associates just before joining here at AssetWorks. So doing that, I've spent quite a bit of time working with a lot of different fleet operations across the country, all over US, Mexico, Canada. So I've seen a lot of different processes and tools being used within the software. So that's a little bit about me. And again, I'm glad to be here today to share some of the information with you as we go through FleetFocus today. All right, so let me go ahead and jump in. I want to share my screen. And while I'm doing this demo, I think I'm going to turn my camera off just for the bandwidth, if it's okay, but everybody can see that I'm a real person. So I'm going to turn this off so we can get going here. And we're going to go ahead and dive in and take a look at our FleetFocus software. So, of course, my goal today is basically to show you enough of our product and build enough interest in you guys to want to see more. This software is very wide, very deep, very feature rich, and it's a lot of functionalities built within the software. And I'm hoping that today you guys are going to be able to see quite a bit of that as we go through. So I've got the next 50 plus minutes just to kind of share with you some of the different features and functionalities of the software. Again, it normally takes about 2+ hours to do a full demo of our product. Now, FleetFocus is the name of our product. And as we go through it, you're going to see, I want to be able to demonstrate to you the ease of use, some of the features, the functionalities, how we can adapt to your own workflows, and kind of show you just how some of the customizations are done and show you just how configurable our system is. So one of the things that FleetFocus does is allow you to configure your product, your workflows, so that we give you the most bang for your buck. So that way, when you log in and start utilizing the system, you can design your own workflows. Our system is also driven based on departmental permissions as well as location permissions. So that gives you the most flexibility to set up even your customers as users so they can log in and be able to see what's going on with their vehicles and know that they can't see anybody else's. So you're controlling all the information that your customers can see as well as your team. What can they do with the system? What parts of the system are going to use it? FleetFocus is basically a toolbox, just like the technicians have out on the shop floor, right? They have many different tools within the toolbox. So depending on what tools they need to use, you can find them inside of FleetFocus. So some of the things I want to share with you today, just kind of walk you through, showing you some of the different areas, some of the different things you can do, some areas that you guys can set up and configure. You can design your own screens and those type of things that's going to make your life a lot easier. So it's not like you're buying a software off the shelf and you're forced to do something a certain way. I want to show you some of those different pieces today. So as we walk through, our system, it's just truly a web-based product, right? You'll be able to get to that system through a URL. We don't care what type of hardware you use. We don't care what type of search engine you use. You can get to the system through a URL. Whether we host that for you or you want to host it on-prem, we can handle both scenarios. We have all your standard workflow tools going from the customer access to where your customers can create a service request. Your service request is basically the very first part of your workflow. So you can set this up for your customers to where they can log into the system. Either they log in through a customer access or they log in through just a customer request, or you have customers that walk in through a service writers area and walk up to a kiosk. You can also set this service request up as a kiosk. They can walk up, answer 3 simple questions, and that will start the workflow or create an electronic service request that gets sent into that location. These service requests can also come in through many of our different smart apps. So we're going to talk a little bit more about our mobile focused enterprise as well. Those are just additional tools that you guys can set up and use to be able to capture this data and information and be transparent with your customers. So the service request workflow is just that. It's going to say who you are, whether you're an employee or you're an operator, you're a driver. If you're not in the system, they just fill out a simple ID. So we know who it is that we need to contact with any kind of questions. The next step is just identify what's the asset number. I can search and find that unit number. If you know what that unit number is, you can bring that up, see the vehicle. I can also control as a user, if you don't belong in that department, you don't see those other assets. So it's going to stop them from submitting a electronic service request on the wrong vehicle. From here, I can just see all the problems that's already been reported, right? A lot of municipalities have a lot of shared vehicles. This is going to allow me to see if the person that used this truck the day before or the week before, if they turned that problem in, I can see what the status of that problem is. And if it already has been turned in, I know I don't need to go any further. But if it's not, I'll go to step 3 and just identify what that problem is, right? I'll identify what the problem is, type in my comments, my issues. I can also attach photos, files, documents, whatever's going to help the fleet team know what's going on. I'm going to pick a symptom code, which is going to drive what happens to this service request. That symptom is going to say, okay, this is going to go to the tire shop. So it's going to identify if I'm turning in a tire issue, it's going to route to the tire location, as well as what's the priority of that repair. So being able to have a real simple tool, a service request, being able to fill it out by my customers, submit that ticket in, that ticket can automatically be sent into whichever location gets that response. You can also have a built-in message center that will create a notification such as this. Hey, I got a new service request. It just came in on this fire truck. Here's the problem. Here's who turned it in. So if I have any questions about that service request, I know who to contact. Now we have about 60 different notifications out of the box that you guys can set up and use throughout the system. The service request is just one of many. Those messages can come from our built-in message center, or they can send you an email through Outlook or whatever, or we can also send you a text file as well. So whether you have a workflow that starts out from electronic service request, or it starts out from, a customer walks into the service writer's office and fills out a service request from there, or maybe they just walk up and talk to a service request or service writer. They can come in, again, identify the vehicle, bring that vehicle up, see what's going on with that vehicle. Is there any open work orders on that vehicle already, right? I can dive in further to get more details about that asset. Maybe the customer's calling me on the phone and they're just going to tell me, hey, next time I bring this vehicle in, I need to remind you to do this or do that. At this point, I can see more details about the vehicle. I can create a service request on the fly. I can create a new work order from here. I can see all the details of what's going on with this job or this vehicle in the past. I can see everything that's going on right now today. I can see the year, make, model, the driver, the department, which locations it's assigned to. This is our asset viewer pop-in. So this is giving me a lot of information about the birth certificate record of that one asset, including a one single click to get to the historical cost. So the ease of use to be able to bring up a vehicle number, dive into it, open up an asset viewer and see everything going on with that one asset. I can dive into the work order history. I can see what type of meter it has. What type of PMs does it have? When was the last time it had a PM with a hyperlink into that work order? I can see all the individual PMs as well as any individual inspections. How about your class-based PMs? Are you want to measure your PMs based on class and or individual? In this case, I'm doing both. So we can handle any of the hierarchy structure PMs as well, which is a major core feature of any fleet management information system. So I just want you to see the ease of use to be able to get through here, see this information. Here's the warranty information, not just on the vehicle, but even your components. Throughout the life of that asset, you may have to change the transmission or change the AC or change something that may also come with an additional warranty. You can identify the warranties and have a quick link into that vendor if you have any questions about that warranty. Attributes too. So attributes is anything that you want to track above and beyond what's not on a standard birth certificate record. Items like the engine serial number, transmission serial number, anything above and beyond it's not on there, anything extra, you can set up as an attribute. Plus, you can give your users access to go in and update. So in this case, the asset came in, they failed to put the engine serial number. I can update that, save it, and now that engine serial number is going to be there for the next person that needs to know it. Bill of materials, spec sheets, all the parts ever used, right? So you're able to go through and see all this information right from the asset view. Any kind of files, documents, videos, we can store unlimited amount of documents and files and videos for that asset. Every time a work order is created, all of these files will follow with that work order. So if I scan the title or the registration or the license plate or the warranty information, every time a work order is created, you also have access to this right straight from the work order. So you don't have to leave where you're at to get to that data. Comments, notes, messages, parent-child relationship. So I can see I've got 3 additional assets tied to that one asset, right? So whether they're components or other assets, I can dive into the details of each one from here. And then we can also go straight to a single map to see exactly where that asset is at that given time. So whether you're using our very own AssetWorks GPS, right? We got our own GPS product that we can map and bring this data in right away, or you're using a third-party solution, Samsara, Geotab, what have you. We have interfaces that we can bring that data in so that you can see on a map where that asset is. In the event the customer calls in, I've got a flat tire or I'm broke down, you know where to dispatch that vendor. So that's a little bit about how you guys can come in here and just quickly bring up a vehicle number, see what's going on. I've got 2 asset work orders now. I've got 2 service requests pending. So when I make a work order, I can pick and choose if I want to add those into the system. And on the work position, I can see exactly where that asset is from the map. So a couple of other things I want to share with you is just know that everything is based on location and departments. So we're going to touch a little bit more about the customer side of that here in a few moments. But just know if you have more than one location, you can be set up to see and manage which locations you have permissions to. Again, making it very easy and flexible for your staff to manage his or her locations. So today we're going to work out of the Fleet Service Center location, right? But if I've got staff in another location, I need to switch over and see the details for that. I can just switch over, see the information, and be able to manage that workload. So today we're going to take a look at the work management portal. This is the main workshop portal where most of the work order magic happens. This is where I can store all the information, all my open work orders, all my pending service requests. And we use a lot of different gadgets so that you guys can come in here and design your screen layout. So you'll see in here, and there's several other different portals here that you can change your screen layout. So having the ease of use to be able to go in and say, look, I need to add a new gadget, a new tool in my toolbox so that I can use that for my day-to-day operations. So I can go into my layout button, open it up, see a list of gadgets that I've got already turned on. You can set these up into a 2-column layout, a single column layout, or you can also do a 3-column layout. Again, whatever your preference is, you can mix and match as you can see here. But today I'm going to go ahead and add a new gadget. I'm going to show you how easy it is to do that. So I'm going to come in here. I opened up my layout button. I'm going to hit add new gadget, and I can pick from these existing gadgets that are left, and I'm going to add an ad hoc query tool. Now that's an ad hoc query report writing tool, and I'm going to show you that here in a few moments, but I want to add a new one of those. And by the way, I'm going to go ahead and rename that to my new report. So once you name the gadget, or add the gadget, you can come in and rename it, save it. Now, if I want this gadget to be on the top center, I'm going to put it right here above my asset search. I'm going to hit save. And now I've just added a new gadget to my screen. Once the gadget is added to your screen, now you're going to map this because this is an ad hoc query. So what this is going to do is it's going to show me some data that I created a report from my ad hoc query tool, and now I want to display that data here. So I'm going to come in and just map it. I'm going to go into my folders, my reports, and I want to come in and see a list of inventory for police report. So I can come in here, go down, find that report that I want to bring that data into. I'm going to come down here to this guy here and do the police location, inventory, save it. And now I just brought in all that data from that report that I created, and now I'm able to share it with my users, right? Not only am I able to share that with my users, they can now come in here and click and do a quick search. And when they search, they're searching for all the data sets within that one report. So instead of me running a report to get this data, I can build it one time, go into the layout, add a gadget, display that data here, name it, and now they can go in there and search for that information. If I want to see all my police gear, I can start typing out, and it's going to default and just show me all my different police gear, right? So that search is going to allow me to search on whatever I type out. If I want to go to the actual report where this data is coming from, I just simply hit the magnifying glass. It's going to switch over and actually open up the ad hoc query report and where that data is coming from. Here's the report that data is coming from. I can email it. I can export it, right? Whether you're going to export to PDF, Excel, Word, what have you. I can email that out to whomever I need to do. I can change my filters. So just being able to capture that data and share it with your users. If I like this, but I want to see the full width screen, I just go back into my layout button. I'm going to add a single column. Add it. It's always going to be added to the bottom. Sorry. I want to go to 1. And I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to drag it all the way to the top of my screen. And I'm going to take that new report we just added, drop it, save it. And now you're going to see that same data, but now it's going to take up the whole width of my screen. So it's really easy to take and add these into your screen. I can save that screen design layout if I want to do it just for myself, or you can open this up for all your staff to do that, or you can go in there and save that screen layout to certain users. So if you want to set it up and save it, you can do that too. So just know that you guys can come in here and save these, change your screen layout and use the system to your advantage. So instead of you having, another great example is having a quick list of all my vendors, right? That's another great way of saying, hey, I've got a list of all my vendors with purchase orders and I need a contact person. I need to find out who my tire vendors are. I can just simply type in tire, bam, there's my 3 tire vendors. There's the contact information. I don't need to go back and look at a cheat sheet, or I don't need to go and run a report. I've got that information right here. So just know that you guys can dive in and get to this information quickly and easy and share it with all of your different users. There's many, many different tools here within the work management portal where you can create work orders. I can create multi-asset work orders. So that's a parent-child type of work order. So if I'm going to build a single work order and identify, hey, I'm going to do the same exact thing to 5 or 6 or 10 or 20 units, I just identify what those 10 or 20 units are. The system automatically creates a child work order and map that child work order to that parent work order. An example would be an upfit or make ready, right? I create a parent work order, tell the system I want to do that for these 5 units. The system creates a child work order with the same exact instructions, the same files, same attachments. So that way you're getting the same information on all of those different work orders. Just as another example. So with these tools, you're able to come through here and manage your day-to-day operations. I can create work orders. I can dive in and have multiple different levels of filters. So this is my work order search. So it's going to show me a list of all my work orders I have. I can create additional filters. So some systems may have a general search, a work order search. I would search, find the work orders, and save it. Well, a lot of systems don't allow you to save it. So you got to try and remember how you went back and got that. Here, we want to allow you to go through and create a filter. So if you create a filter, you identify what that filter is going to be for. Maybe I want to create a filter and show just PM work orders or just my high priority work orders and save it. This will allow me to take and save all my searches and quickly get to those work orders. So you can have unlimited amount of work orders, searches. Same with service requests. If I want to see my service requests that's maybe coming in from our smart apps, or I want to see my service requests that were triggered from my GPS telematics, I want to see that here too. So that way, if it's a service request, I can dive into that service request, see the service request, and go one click to create a work order and then assign it to a technician. Another just quick scenario to be able to dive in and get to that information to create a work order. Another great tool that we have here for your work management portal is being able to take and manage information from a shop calendar. So each location has its own calendar. So if we were to take and dive into that work order calendar, you'll see, right, I've got a list of all my staff. This is a list of all my technicians. I can see what days that they're scheduled to work. And of course, these that are blocked off, those are days that they're off. But I can see a list of the technicians that are here working. What kind of jobs are they assigned to? If they're actually turning a wrench, like you'll see here for me, I'm actually turning a wrench right now. As a technician, I can hover over that and see exactly what that technician's doing. I can see what jobs they have assigned to them. I can see what my shop's capacity hours are, what's available, what's my capacity. So it will take in consideration of how many hours are assigned to each technician, how many hours have non-activity, right? Maybe I need to go in there and add, hey, Jim's going to be out on jury duty next week. I can put that employee in, put to and from, save it, and it will block out that amount of time from your shop capacity. So if you have a scheduler that needs to keep track of how much jobs you have coming in, this is going to allow you to manage not just the shop's capacity, but all of your players. Who's here, who's working, and how much time do you have available to schedule that work? Now, I can also, since I've got this panel open, I can see a list of all my open work orders. I can pick the work orders. I can drag and drop them into the calendar here and see it will actually assign that to that technician. So that way, I can just automatically fill that technician's schedule up at any given time. I can also assign a service request, right? That's the electronic service request. Remember the workflow. I can assign these to a technician so when they log into the technician portal, they can see what kind of assignments they have scheduled for them. So those are some of the tools that you guys can use to manage your calendar, be able to manage your workload. And again, I can switch between different locations. I can look at different shifts. So if you have multiple level shifts of technicians, you can see them from here. You can look at different crews, right? So if you have technicians, I've got a PM crew versus a heavy duty crew versus a whatever. You can see your workload based on crews rather than employees. So we're trying to give you as many different pieces of information that you can share with a scheduler if that's your workflow. I can create new work orders from here. I can generate my PM due list as well, a quick button to do that. So this is going to allow me to just generate a list of all my PMs that are due or past due, and it will include any inspections. And I can take this and create this. I can run, it creates a UID, so I can just click on this run ID, and it will open up one of our standard 400 reports and print out a list of all the units that are due. I can filter that out many different ways. Maybe I just want to see the date reason only or meter reading only, right? Or I can leave it blank for wide open. I can pick and choose which units I want to create a work order for, and I want to open that work order in a pending status. That way, it's not going to start downtime. We're not going to start downtime until the asset or the work order goes into an open status. But by putting it into a pending status, I can create the work order. I can send a notification out to my customers so that they can get notified to let them know, hey, this unit is due for PM, and here's the PM it's due for. You can send out an email message like this with a link that they would open up and say, okay, this unit is due for this month for PM. I'm going to bring it in on the 29th, and I'm going to drop it off at 8 o'clock in the morning. So your customers can get this notification, whether it's through the built-in message center or their Outlook email, right? So you can send that link so that your customers are aware that it's due for PM or inspection, or maybe it's just a scheduled event, a scheduled repair. We can handle that as well. The other thing it can do is if you have a PM list and you have a PM list of parts, those parts can automatically be sent to your storekeeper into the storeroom and have those parts requested. So that's another workflow that you can jump on and get ahead of the game. Hey, I need these 10 or 12 or 15 parts for these PMs. So now your storeroom can go through and see if you have the parts. If you do, you can go ahead and pull them. get ready. Get ready for those units coming in and mark those parts that they're already committed to these jobs. So it's just giving you the tools to be able to go through and manage your workflow in a proactive manner and be ready. So when that truck hits your floor here, you're able to jump on it. You're not waiting on parts. Everything is here and you do the job. So that's a couple of different things you can see within the work management workflow. You can add, changing the screen layouts. I can go through and make modifications. I can remove them just as easy. Go back into my layout button, hit the can here, save it, and it just removes it, right? So it's just easy to go through and make your modifications. You can manage your different work calendars. You've got different tools in here. So if I need to do a direct charge to a commercial, if you do a lot of outsourcing, and we're starting to see a lot more people doing outsourced work, I can quickly come in and process an outside invoice right straight to the vehicle. I can charge it to a department, charge it to just an account ID, or to an asset without going to a work order. I can also scan and save that file so it's all attached here, break out my cost so that my historical cost is right? So we're just giving you all these different buttons to be able to go through and do those different scenarios. So those are a few different things that you can see within the work management portal. And I want to switch gears here for just a moment and show you our customer access capability. So I think that's key, right? Having your customers having access to where they can come in and log in and see the different pieces of information that you share with them. So in this case, I'm logged in as me, and you'll see that I've got access to all the different departments. But if I was to log out and I log in as the fire department, so if I just come in here to the fire customer 2 and log in, now I'm Mr. Fire Department, customer number 2. When I go into my customer access, I only see which departments that I have permissions to, right? So it is departmental permission driven to where you know that if I work for the fire department, I'm not going to nose around and see everybody else's vehicles, right? You can control what they've got permissions to see. You can also take and build a dashboard or 2 or 3 and share it with them through the same portal. So you can create a customer access portal, design it just for them. So you'll see here, I've got a fleet availability dashboard for them, and it's just for their department. You guys can build that. So you're not held to a certain restriction to where you only get 1 or 2 or 3 dashboards. You get unlimited amount of dashboards. You can build all the dashboards you want to build. Plus, you can control who's got access to those dashboards. This is my dashboard module. As you can see that I've also got it double stacked into the customer access portal, right? So you can also double stack these into the other portals as well. For example, going back to work management. If I wanted to share a dashboard or 2 or 3, I can create a dashboard view and put it right straight inside of the shop management tool so they can see that from here without having full access to the dashboard module. Now, being able to build these dashboards, it's really easy to come in and create a new dashboard view once the dashboard is created. So for this example, you'll see I've got many different dashboard views, right? If I want to see my foreman view, I name it, I plug in the dashboards I want them to see, and then display it, name it, and I can share that with all the users. Underneath the dashboard module, if I go to the pencil, this is my admin, I can see a list of all the standard KPIs, right? So any kind of key performance indicator, this system will come with about 24 different ones already pre-built. You can build your own, and it's really easy to build once you understand where the data is. For example, fleet availability. This is a standard KPI everybody gets, and here this gives you the SQL statement to pull that data. So as long as you know how to write an SQL statement, you can come in here and see how we pulled that data. And you will see the query results right here in the screen, right? So this is going to allow me to see if I want to use that dashboard, I can build a dashboard on that KPI and pull the data. If you know SQL, I can put a where clause in here, right? Maybe I wanted to see the same data where the fire department, where the department equals fire department. Put that where clause in, save it to a new name. Now I just built a new dashboard just for the fire department, and here's the results. So knowing that, this gives you the most flexibility to build as many dashboards as you want, right? Unlimited. You can control which user groups has access to create and edit gauges. We've got gauges and we got charts. And then who can go through and edit the dashboards. So you've got full capability of coming in here and controlling who's got access to what. And the same thing is true for all these portals or modules. So I'm logged in as a super admin, so I've got permission to pretty much everything in here. So you can come in here and set these up and control what you have access to. You can also control these dashboards to be drilled down, right? I want to see all my open service requests, and I've got 30. So I can click on this, it opens up a screen and shows me a list of those 30 service requests, okay? So being able to give you a tool to build dashboards, visuals, it also has a refresh tool, right? So if I want to set this up and have it displayed out in the shop floor, I may have one dashboard I want to show on the shop floor, but have it refresh every 30 seconds or every 5 minutes. Again, gives you, plenty of ways to share this information. Plus, if you have access to that, you can also come in here and resize these dashboards. So you're not stuck with just one generic style. You can change the size, you can change the colors, you can change, everything about that dashboard and then save it. If you're building dashboards, you can come into the ad here and see a list of all the dashboards that either you created or maybe others have created it, but they shared it with you. So instead of reinventing the wheel, I can just come in here and grab which dashboard I want to add it to my dashboard view. So again, just making it easy for you guys to come in here and create as many dashboards as you need for your day-to-day operations. Now, our reporting tool is Crystal. So with the system, out of the box, you will get about 400 standard reports. Now, all of these reports are written with Crystal, and you will get a Crystal license. So that way you can take any of these standard reports, modify them, save them to your own name. You can also go through and add, right? Maybe I want to add a new report, but if I want to take the existing report, there's the RPT file, there's the XML file. I can upload new files, add them into my files, and then control who's got permissions to those reports, right? So I can control all the way down to the individual report who's got access to those reports. Now, you can also save these into your favorite, right? So what makes us different with our reporting is you can create the report, put them into your favorites, right? So once you find a report and you run it, you set it up, here's an accident trending report. I can set this up and run it and have it automatically scheduled to be sent to whomever, right? So if I want to set this up and run it and have it delivered to my HR or my finance or to whomever, I can come up here, schedule that report, identify who I want to send it to, put an email message, and then tell the system, hey, I want to run this every day, every week, every month, what time of the day, which days of the week, days of the month, and then schedule that report. So that way, instead of me putting a message onto my Outlook folder to go back and run it, I just build it, save it, and then be able to have that scheduled to send to those folks. With that, you get a little scheduling tool. So now I can come in and see a list of all the reports that I have set up to run, who they're scheduled to, a brief description, the frequency. I can stop them, I can disable them, I can go through and edit, copy, right? So you have a lot of flexibility on how you set these reports up and be able to take and schedule them to run. Now, we've also got all the standard reports that you need to run, any KPI that you can think of, and there's hundreds. You guys can come in and see the information. Here's one, asset downtime. That's a core API or KPI, right? This one here is going to show you that this one supports the APWA top performance measurement number 3. We have all the reports that you need to fully support any of the APWAs. So again, that's our standard reports. And again, Crystal comes with our product. So if you have somebody with Crystal report writing skills, you're in good shape. You can write reports. You can control the reports that comes in the system. We also give you an ad hoc query tool. Now, the ad hoc query tool is a tool called Izenda. And this is a tool to where you can come in and create your own report, an ad hoc report out of the box using this ad hoc query tool. And you can do it right here in the UI without having the tool called Izenda. It comes built into the product. Plus, you'll get about 50 different ad hoc reports with the system. You can take these ad hoc reports, you can modify them, you can add all the reports you want, right? So here's an example of a fleet replacement list by meter, right? This is going to show me a 10-year replacement with a little chart showing me year after year after year. And if I scroll down, I'll actually see what my replacement process is, how much it's going to cost me if I replaced everything. Plus, I've got all the details. This is one of the 50 standard ad hoc reports that you'll get. You can print these out. You can email them. I can go into the design of this and make a change. Maybe I don't like blue. Maybe I want to change the color. Or maybe I want to move a column or rename a column. You have the ability to do that right here in the UI through the ad hoc query tool without having a separate reporting tool to do that. Plus, if you go into the design, you can control if you want to share that report. So if I go into the miscellaneous tab here, you'll see that I want to share this. Maybe I want to give them view only or read only. So that way I just want them to be able to see it, but I don't want them to change nothing. You can do that through the ad hoc query tool. Here's another quick example of an ad hoc report. It took about 5 minutes to build. This customer, this was for another demo. They wanted to see 2 different charts. I want to see a list of all the assets by department, by operator, by manufacturer, with a legend here at the bottom to show me a list of all my different manufacturers. And then I want the raw details here below. You can put subtotals, groupings, so you have the ability to come in and make all those modifications as you need to. Another great tool here is you can create a report and then save it into a folder called KPI. That's going to allow you to take and build a ad hoc report, and you can build this report on any piece of data within the system. It doesn't matter if it's vehicles, assets, parts, labor transactions, drivers, anything. Save it, put it into a KPI folder, and now you can go and build a custom dashboard off of that data. Here's an example. Here's a fuel capacity report, and I built this just so that I can get the quantity on hand per product type, right? And the only reason I built this is so that then I can go back in, create a dashboard, and display those results. So here's my fuel capacity. Here's a sample of 4 different looking dashboards that you can use, and all this information is coming from the fuel capacities from that ad hoc query report. So just being able to take and create these reports and share that data, share the information with your users. The dashboards have got the refresh rates on them. These other tools, such as the shop management, work management portal, they also have a refresh rate too. So if you're on this screen a lot and I just want it to refresh every so often, you can set that up so that you're not having to go back and keep hitting this refresh. Turn the tools on and let the system do it for you. So just knowing that you can build these reports, you can share these reports, you've got an ad hoc query tool right here in the fly to build that data. You can also go in and build all your own dashboards and be able to save them and share that information with you, not just your staff, but you can also share them with your customers. Now, if you're a Microsoft Power BI user, we got you covered there too. We've got a tool called Asset Analytics Platform. This is all built with our Microsoft Power BI tools, right? You've got all these different insights, and you can save them into your favorites. These come already pre-built. All you need to do is come in, log in, you can get to this data. This is going to allow you to take and dive in and get to this data quickly. We also give you access to some of the table queries. So if I want to look at all my PM due summaries and be able to dive in, you can export all these results out quickly. So this is allowing you to take and look at your data at a 30,000 feet level. Whether you're using this for management reviews or I want to set this up and use it for my day-to-day operations. There's tools in here like for the operational cost summary. I want to see all the parts. Your parts team can see this and go down to the individual part and the date that that part was actually issued. Or you can set this up like for your VMR standard coding, your vehicle maintenance reporting standard. So if you're using those for your repairs or your tasks, you're able to use this tool and say, hey, I want to see where am I spending my money in the shop? How much money am I spending overall? In this database, I've got $79 million worth of maintenance costs. And a breakdown is I've got 42 million in labor, 22 million in parts, 13 in commercial costs, 221,000 different tasks, and so forth, right? So I'm able to break this cost down by task. Plus, if I just want to see my chassis costs, I just check that box, and it's going to now filter that information down and show me just how much money I've spent on my chassis task. Let's go deeper. Let's go into my brakes, right? So if I go to my brakes and I go to my plus and pick my assembly, now I can see how much money I've spent on my brakes and rotors. You see, all the numbers are going to start changing. I can go all the way down to the work accomplished code. How many of my brakes rotors have I replaced new, right? It gives you all the details without having to go run these long reports. Plus, I can go further and say, show me what's been noted by fleet, what's been noted in PM, what's been noted by the customers. And since we're in 2025, I want to see what my costs were versus what they were last year versus the year before. So you can get to this data really quickly just by clicking a button and getting that details. Plus, I can also come up and export the data. I can show the same data as a table. Maybe I see this with the results, right? I can export this out as well. So that's a little example about how these insights are able to drill down and get to that data. We've got scatter charts as well. So if I want to see my departmentalize all the utilization, you've got some vehicles that are underutilized versus overutilized. This scatter chart will help you identify those. You set the min max. What's the minimum mileage? What's the maximum miles? If you want to change it to hours, you can. And then go through and see which units are underutilized versus overutilized. And just highlight that. And it shows you the actual unit plus how long that unit's been in service. So again, these are just some different insights that you can use this asset analytics platform to get to that data. It's a great tool, right? So it's allowing you to get to this. You don't have to build nothing. It's already pre-built. You just come in, load it. This information is going to pull all this data out of our data lake. So with this tool, we'll take all your data from FleetFocus, put it into a data lake, and this tool is going to pull that data out of the data lake. So it's not slowing your database down. So again, we could probably spend 2 or 3 hours just going through each and every one of these different insights. But just know, if you're a Microsoft Power BI tool shop, we've got you covered with some of these different reporting standards. So being able to get this data out of the system quickly, easily, build your own reports, add your own queries, sharing that information with all your users, we've got tools in here to do that right away. Another thing I want to share with you is being able to look at your equipment performance replacement analysis. This is another great item or another great tool in your toolbox to be able to say, hey, I need to find out which asset do I need to look at replacing, right? We use a point system. Our point system does not stop counting. So if you're going to go through and manage this on a point system and you use it every day, you buy fuel, you drive miles, you've got condition factors, you can come in and create as many performance measurements, set that up, and then run your analysis on those. Here's a couple examples. I've got a couple vehicles here, and I'm going to set these up for my light duty vehicles. I'm going to create a category and say, okay, here's a list of all my light duty vehicles. And I want to go through and put these in order by the highest number first. Again, we're using points, right? And we're looking at 13 factors. We look at the age, the capital cost, the condition factor, fuel usage, maintenance costs, shop downtime, right? All the way down to how many, user downtime. So our downtime, we're looking at two things. We got a user downtime. User downtime is your customer, right? That is a user downtime. And it's different than a shop downtime. So that's 2 of the 13 factors you guys can manage. So with this analysis, you're going to go through and put a weight score on each one of these equals 100%. And then it's going to run the analysis and tell you which asset has been the most utilized. So it puts it in there as points. So if I only had enough money to replace 2 assets, these top 2 are the ones I'm going to replace because the first one's got 2,000 points, next one's at 1,000, and the next one below that's only 500. I can hover over that and it gives me all the data facts right here. This asset, 14,121, it's 297 months old, and the average of the other 213 is only 174 as average, right? And it gives me those data facts for all 13 factors. I can also export that data out into an Excel spreadsheet. So I've got all the data facts. I've got a list of the 213 assets. I've got the points for each of the 13 areas. I've also got all the data facts of each one, and I've got the average of all 13. So if you want to change it, modify it, you've got it all on a spreadsheet to be able to do that. Now here's the same vehicles, but I'm just going to look at 2 factors, age and maintenance. Same units, and just look at those 2 different factors. So now you'll see the numbers are a lot different. Now I'm at 3,400 and 1,600 because I'm just looking at the age and maintenance cost only. So if I go into the edit run, I'll be able to see out of those 13 factors, which ones am I using? I can edit the model, and you'll see it's 50-50, age and maintenance. So you can control which factors are you wanting to use. Once you get to this point, you can then change that status over to the replacement side. And what that's going to do is it's going to take and push it down to the replacement analysis tool, right? So this tool is going to feed your replacement tool. That's the reason I have these double stacked, and I renamed that portal. So that's another flexibility you have, right? You can rename these portals to whatever you want, whatever makes it easy for you to use. If I go back into my light vehicles and view it, you'll see the same results, right? If I want to replace these two, I just mark them. You'll see the total scores. Here's the replacement cost. I've got my expected life, capital cost. I've got all the information right here. What month do you want to replace it and the year? And then add that to my replacement candidate list. So this is a way you can flag those units so you know they're due to be replaced. I can go to the birth certificate record and mark it so when a work order gets generated, they know, hey, this one's already been marked for replacement, not to spend a lot of money on it, right? You can do that. If you hover over it now, you'll get all the totals and averages, but you'll also get the scores. So you're getting all this data, all this information with just one tool. Instead of running all these different reports to get that data and then put it into a spreadsheet, we're doing it the other way around. We're saying, hey, we've got 13 factors to measure. Which ones are the most important? You can mix and match them as you want. So you may want to come in here and look at your trash trucks differently, right? You're not held to the same standard. You build your standard and then be able to run that analysis and see where you're at. So this way, I want to go and look at my trash trucks. Maybe you only got 5 or 6. I got 13. Which ones do I need to replace? This makes it so much easier to justify, hey, I need to replace this trash truck 0702, and here's why. Here's the data facts. Now, another tool you can use with this is our equipment planning. This is a tool that where you can see all this information and be able to create a project. And since we're using replacement candidate lists, I can see a breakdown of a list of all the assets by department and which assets are due or been marked for replacement. So my wastewater, I can see I've got 6 marked for replacement out of the 463 assets they have. And I can quickly just click on that and it shows you the 6 that are due for replacement, right? This allows me to pick and choose. I'm going to go ahead and create a project for these 3. I can go down and create a project. So that way I can create a project and manage this project from start to finish. So here's what a project would look like. So if I apply that filter, here's a sample project, right? So you can build a project, say, hey, this is going to be a brand new unit or I'm going to replace it. You can create a project template. In this project template, you can see the pictures, what this asset's going to look like, all the different features or subsystems, how much the costs are. Plus, you can identify the approval events. You know, is it a single step, 2-step, 3-step approvals? You can identify that per project and then be able to take and send this to your departments for them to sign off and get their approval so that you know when you get ready to sign off on it, it's already been approved. So your customers can have access to this. Remember, if they only have permissions to one department, they don't see the rest of these, but they can see if it's waiting on their approval. They can open this up and see a list of all their vehicles, as well as where is it standing? How old is it? How many years has it been in the system? So it gives them another tool that you can set this up and share with your customers too. The customers can also check if you give them permissions to come in and flag those for replacement. So you're able to use this tool to be able to share information back and forth with your user departments and be able to take and create those projects and manage those projects from start to finish. Now, speaking of the projects, with the new assets, there's a lot of different things that you guys can do to set up new asset records. Another great tool that we have giving you the flexibility to manage your assets. So I had spoke about an asset birth certificate record from the get-go, right? So if I was to dive into this asset record, I opened the asset viewer by the magnifying glass, right? I can also dive into the birth certificate record just clicking on that hyperlink, which is the asset number itself. So if I click on that number, it will automatically take me to the asset primary information. This is the actual birth certificate record of unit number 019400. This is where all that data lives, right? Meter info, classes, locations, assignments, everything that you need to know about this, including the acquisition information. Where did you buy it? How much did you pay for it? What's the capital value? The replacement, the ownership, depreciation, all of that information is here, including if it has any attributes. So you can set these up. If you want to use this as a template, you can set these up as templates. I can come in and create a brand new asset record from scratch, or I can copy this existing birth certificate record, or I can go and say, hey, show me all my templates. So you guys can set these up as a template. Instead of using existing asset record, I want to grab a template, right? And I want to use that, copy it, and create the new asset record. Plus, if you wanted to, you can come in here too, change this, put this into an admin mode, and then go through and say, hey, I want to repurpose the field. Can I do that? Yes, you can. So let's say that I want to repurpose a field in my status section called event ID. If I click into that, it's going to show me the actual name, right? I can change the title to whatever I want. I can make that field required, or maybe I just want to make it attention. The difference is if it's attention, it's just going to give you these blue triangles. So it's going to tell you and your users, hey, I recommend you to fill that out. But just know you can force this to anybody creates a new record, it is a required field. You can make it mandatory they have to fill that out. Plus, you can create your own custom pick list to where they have to pick from your choices. So you can control this, and it's not just the assets. You can control this for any of the different screens. Whether it's a new part record or it's a new user, new employee, you can control which fields are required versus which ones are recommended. So you've got the full rights and the capability to come in and customize your process so they can come in and fill out the information you need in order to do your day-to-day operations. Here's a quick example about that same scenario. So if I was to come in here and look at that same status, you'll see I've got this one called take home vehicle, right? And if I go in there, I can make it required. Plus, I want to use this custom list. So if I save it, what that's going to do, I'm going to take this back out. If I go to create a brand new record, it's going to now show me that is required. If I go into that, it's not only required, but I have to pick from that custom pick list that I created. So this is just an example of how you can control what data sets of data you need in order to generate a new asset record. So that's a huge benefit of being able to go through and massaging your data. What data sets do you need and control what is needed for that unit? The same with your work order headers too. You can control what data set is in your work order. So if I look at a work order header, this is what a work order looks like. When it opens, you'll be able to see all your work order header here. You control what data sets are here. If you want to move this over here, you can move it, you can shape it. All the way down to where if you want to come in and see, the job status, or I want to see the parking spot, where is it parked? I want to see the different work projects. You can add all those data sets to your work order header. Full ability to do that. Back on the assets, just know that we have an asset management portal. You can come in here. Let's say I'm going to do a new asset. You can create a new asset record from a template, right? You can create all the templates you want. You can see these different templates here. So I can see if I'm going to create a new F-150, or maybe that should be like a half-ton pickup, right? You name it to what you want. I know the fields I need to require to create that record. Or I'm going to create the same half-ton, but I've got attributes assigned to this. You'll see the basic info, the meters, as well as what attributes are required for that template. You control all your different templates. So you're able to take this tool and easily go through and set up these new records. You can add these new records on the fly, set them up, and be able to manage that from start to finish. You can also set up these little metric pages. So I want to see what is my average age of my school buses, average age of my trash trucks. Real quickly, without having to go run a report, I've got it right here on my screen. Plus, if I want to see from a mapping view, I want to see a list of all my EV chargers. Where are they at in my parking lot? I can see them, right? So with the mapping, you can come in and see a list of all your units. If you're measuring your school buses, your trash trucks, or whatever, I can quickly go to my maps and see where they're at. I can click on those and be able to see the details of that individual asset. So just being able to take and use these tools and be able to manage your day-to-day functions with new assets. Now, also, I want to just touch a few minutes. I know I'm about to run out of time here, but talking about mobile focus, we have a mobile focus enterprise solution, which is additional tools that come with our product. We pretty much sell our product with these tools now just out of core. So this is a product called Edge. This is a tool for the technicians. you'll see I've got this emulated like on an iPad, but just know this tool is designed for the shop personnel. I've got technicians, supervisors, and storekeeper tools. So they can use this tool, and we call it Edge, so where they can use this on a phone, a tablet, laptop, desktop, we don't care, right? So you're able to use this through a wireless connection. And as a technician, I can come in and see what I'm actually working on. I can see that I'm working on that truck. I've been on it now for an hour and 28 minutes. I'm working on the AC job. If I want questions about the vehicle, I just click on the unit number. I've got all the details about the unit, including what parts are under warranty, right? I can see the attributes. I can see the files, the attachments. If I want to go to the work orders, I can just click on the work order number and it gives me all the details about the work order. So from this tool, I can search and find units. I can create work orders. I can create service requests. I can see my time cards. So as a technician, I can see all my transactions for today, for the week, for the month. I can go forward and see other times in the past. My home, my work schedule, so I can see a list of all the jobs that are assigned to me. And if I switch this over to look like it's on a phone, right, it's going to form fit to the device that you're actually using. So that way, if you're using a tablet or you're using a laptop, it's going to form fit the device that you're actually using. Plus, if there's any parts that you've requested, and what's the status of that parts. So sometimes when I request a part and it's on order, I can come in and see what the status of that is, including when is it requested, when is it expected to be delivered. I can see that from here. So the supervisor's also got a list of tools. They can use this. So if they need to assign jobs, they can assign them. We've got storekeeper tools. So I can create an inventory count and assign that to a user. That user can log in, do their inventory counts, right? So they can go in and say, I've got 2 different inventory counts assigned to me. I start on that first item, it gives me the part ID, the bin location, how many I have in stock. I can adjust it up or down, go to my next record. I can use my device's camera to scan a barcode or scan a QR code. Our product is fully barcode and QR code enabled, so that if you want to use that to manage your parts inventory, you can. You can even scan a QR code for different apps, right? So with our product, we also have inspection checklist app. So if you want to set up a pre-trip, post-trip inspections for your drivers, they can use their phone or tablet to be able to do that too. This is one of 8 different smart apps. We got inspection checklist app. We got one called My Vehicles, to where they can go through, find the vehicle. They can look at the work order history. They can submit service requests, update meter readings if you give them permissions to, but they can also look at preferred vendors. So an example would be, hey, I'm driving this bus and I've got a flat tire and I'm taking some kids on a field trip. Who do I call? Here's your tire vendor. They can open that up and see exactly where that vendor is at, plus the contact information. So that's just one example, if you will, to be able to see and share data between your users. We've got an accident collision app, right? So when you collect the information from an accident, you can take pictures, videos, witness statements, and as soon as you submit it, it creates an accident form inside of FleetFocus that you can now map to a work order. And there's a few other smart apps too, motor pool reservation, yard check app, and a commercial fueling app as well. So again, my goal today was basically being able to come through and share enough information with you with some of these tools and show you some of the flexibility of what the product can do for you and your team. And hopefully spark enough interest to where you guys want to know or want to see a demo with you and your team. So with that, I will turn it back over to the team. So if you have any questions.
Thank you very much, Danny. So we have time for at least one question. So let's go ahead and let's pick one and answer that. However, if you have not received a response, we will be following up after today's event. We have one here asking, can you demonstrate this FleetFocus to my team?
Yes, absolutely. And we would love to do that. We will need about a 2-hour window, like I had mentioned earlier, just to be able to show you more of the product. And if you can give us some of the pain points you have today, we will drill in and show you how our product can help your pain points.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So that is all the time that we have for today. But for anyone who did ask a question and wasn't answered, we will be following up via email to answer your questions individually. We do hope that you all enjoyed today's webinar. I want to thank Danny Brashear and AssetWorks for today's presentation. And I also want to mention that this webinar will be available on demand on the Government Fleet website at government-fleet.com/webinars. Thank you so much for joining us today, and we hope that you have a wonderful day.
Thank you.